Did you know that a single event, lasting less than a minute, was the trigger for one of the greatest conflicts in history? On June 28, 1914, the Sarajevo assassination attempt killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie. This seemingly isolated act set off a chain reaction that resulted in World War I, a devastating conflict that lasted 4 years and changed the fate of millions of people. But what made this assassination so pivotal? How could a single act of violence lead to a war that reshaped the entire world? If you want to understand how history unfolded and how the tensions of the time turned into a global conflict, keep watching until the end. If you enjoy learning about moments that changed the course of history, like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Don't forget to comment below what you think would have happened if the assassination had not occurred. 1. The political context of Europe in 1914, a factory of conflicts. Europe in the early 20th century was a minefield of alliances and tensions. After the unification of Germany in 1871, the continent saw the rise of new empires and the strengthening of others, creating a complex web of rivalries. At the time, the great powers were divided into two main blocks: the Triple Alliance, made up of Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Italy, and the Triple Entente, made up of France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Each of these countries had conflicting interests that put them in constant tension, ready for any reason that could justify war. In 1914, Austria-Hungary was in a delicate position. Its multicultural empire was in decline, and the rivalry with Serbia was intensifying. Serbia, with the support of Russia, wanted to expand its influence in the Balkans, something that directly threatened Austria-Hungary's power in the region. This local dispute had been brewing for years and, as we will see, was the perfect scenario for the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Practical example. Imagine a football team where players from different countries have rivalries and alliances with each other. Each match seems to be a life-or-death struggle, and any mistake can trigger a chain reaction involving all the teams. This is what happened in European politics. 2. The assassination. Who was responsible, and how did it happen? On June 28, 1914, the city of Sarajevo, Bosnia, was about to become the center of one of the most important moments in modern history. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was visiting the city with his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg. The couple were on an official trip to inspect the Austro-Hungarian troops that had recently conquered the region of Bosnia, something that caused great tension with Serbian nationalists. But what seemed like a diplomatic visit would soon turn into an event of global proportions: the assassination. On that fateful day, a group of young Serbian nationalists, who wanted Bosnia to become independent, were involved in a daring plan to assassinate the Archduke. The group was part of a secret organization called the Black Hand, which aimed to bring about the downfall of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The person responsible for the attack was Gavrilo Princip, a young man of just 19 years old. Princip had initially tried to shoot the Archduke and his wife during the trip, but the first attempt failed. After this mistake, the couple took a new route, unaware that the escape route would lead them directly to where Princip was waiting. In this second encounter, in a moment of pure luck for the young conspirator, he managed to fire his shot successfully, killing the Archduke and his wife, in an act that lasted less than a minute. Practical example. The attack in Sarajevo can be compared to a click on a domino. When the first block falls, all the others inevitably fall with it. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was this first block, and the chain reaction that followed was what triggered the First World War. 3. Reactions to the assassination. How did the world react, and what followed? The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was only the beginning of a series of events that changed the course of world history. Although the assassination was carried out by an isolated Serbian nationalist, it was quickly seized upon by the Austro-Hungarian leadership as a justification for military action against Serbia. Austria-Hungary's reaction. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, with the support of Germany, saw the death of the Archduke as a direct threat to its authority. They believed that Serbia was behind the assassination, even though the evidence was not conclusive. Thus, on July 23, 1914, Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia with a series of demands, many of which were practically unacceptable. When Serbia failed to meet all of its demands, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914. The domino effect. The alliance system between the European powers quickly came into play. Russia, Serbia's ally, mobilized its troops in defense of its ally. Germany, in turn, supported Austria-Hungary and declared war on Russia. France, Russia's ally, entered the conflict, and soon the United Kingdom also found itself involved. Within days, Europe was at war. Practical example. The attack was like a spark that ignited a fire in the powder shed. Neither country was really prepared for an all-out conflict, but the alliances and tensions built up over decades made it impossible to avoid war. 4. The role of alliances. How did treaties turn a local conflict into a world war? The alliance system in Europe in 1914 was one of the crucial factors that turned a regional conflict in the Balkans into a world war. These treaties, which were initially created to guarantee mutual security between nations, ended up becoming a trap that forced powers to enter into conflict, even when it was not in their immediate interest. The Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy formed this bloc. The idea was to protect each other against possible external threats, especially from Russia and France. When Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Germany felt obliged to support it. However, Italy reluctantly remained neutral at first, upsetting the internal balance of the alliance. The Triple Entente. France, Russia, and the United Kingdom formed the other major alliance. Russia, by supporting Serbia, automatically involved France due to the Mutual Protection Agreement. When Germany invaded Belgium as part of its military strategy against France, the United Kingdom, which had a protection pact with Belgium, also entered the war. Thus, what began as a conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia quickly involved almost all the major European powers. Consequences of the alliance system. This complex web of commitments meant that no country could withdraw without losing credibility or breaking treaties. More than protecting nations, alliances became a death trap. With each new declaration of war, the list of parties involved grew, leading to a conflict of global proportions. Practical example. Imagine a row of dominoes arranged in interconnected circles. Knocking down one of them means knocking them all down, with no way to stop the cascade effect. Alliances were exactly that, an inevitable fall once the first block was hit. 5. The impact of the bombing. How did Sarajevo reshape the 20th century? The Sarajevo bombing was not only the beginning of World War I, it also marked the end of an era. The resulting war had consequences that shaped the 20th century and beyond. Fall of empires. The First World War saw the collapse of four great empires: the German, the Austro-Hungarian, the Ottoman, and the Russian. These empires, which had once dominated the world political scene, did not survive the pressures of war. The map of Europe was redrawn, with the emergence of new countries and the fall of historic monarchies. Rise of national movements. The assassination in Sarajevo was an act of extreme nationalism, and the same spirit of independence spread throughout the world after the war. Colonized people sought autonomy, while minorities within large empires demanded their own nation-states. The prelude to World War II. The conditions imposed by the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which blamed Germany for the war, created a climate of resentment that led directly to the rise of Nazism and the beginning of World War II. Cultural and social changes. In addition to the political consequences, World War I changed the way people saw the world. It was the end of the optimism of the 19th century and the beginning of an era marked by global conflicts and crises. Sarajevo, with its attack, was the starting point for this transformation. Practical example. The attack was like removing a key piece from a game of Jenga. When that piece fell, the entire system collapsed, changing the global landscape forever. Reflections and lessons from the Sarajevo attack. And so we come to the end of this journey through the events that led to World War I. The Sarajevo attack was an act that, on its own, might not have had major repercussions, but it found a world ready to explode. It shows us how small events can have gigantic consequences in a scenario of high tension. If there is one thing we can learn, it is that history is made of choices, and the reactions to those choices. Europe in 1914 was connected by a system of alliances and rivalries that turned the assassination of an archduke into a global war. And, more importantly, it teaches us how diplomacy, or its absence, can define the fate of millions. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. And now, we want to hear from you. What struck you most about the Sarajevo attack? Leave your opinion in the comments.